Good morning and welcome to Morning in the Valley. I am Jeff Bidwell. So glad you are with us today as we start our little venture uh, trying to cover Missouri Valley Conference basketball, men's and women's, all season long, as we are all too well aware of. College basketball is not just a 4 or 5 month endeavor anymore. It is all year round. Once we get done with the games, and then we've got coaching changes, we've got folks in the portal, we've got recruiting, we've got scheduling. It is a year-round endeavor, and we are going to effort to bring that to you here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 o'clock every day, no questions asked. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday during the off season, and then we'll go every day once we get into season time and ready to roll there, because there will certainly be plenty to go through. But for those of you who are new to me, welcome. I have, in my current job, am the men's basketball radio voice for the Murray State Racers. But prior to doing that, the last 2 seasons, spent 25 years in local television, and the last 20 of those in part covering the Missouri Valley Conference. Love this league. Love everything that I've gotten to see, and certainly getting a more up close daily look at it here in the last couple of years has been awesome. And so we're going to use this platform to showcase and highlight the men and the players, the coaches, the media that cover this league. And we're going to do it all season long. And so I'm glad you're with us today. 2 guests today. We're going to start looking ahead to 2025, 2026. But before we do that, we're going to put a bow on 2024, 25. And we're going to talk to the champs. We're going to talk to Michael Admire, representatives of the champs. We're going to talk to Michael Admire. He'll be with us in just a moment. He is the men's basketball radio voice for the Drake Bulldogs. We're also going to talk with Jeremy Rose. He is the women's radio voice for the Murray State Racers. Both of those programs winning not only regular season, but also tournament championships, representing the Missouri Valley Conference in the NCAA tournament. So we're going to sort of both of those programs going through some pretty seismic shifts as we go into next season. We'll get to both of those in just a minute. We're going to check out some headlines today in a moment, but we don't want to make our man wait any longer. Michael Admire, the voice of Drake men's basketball, is with us. And good morning to you, sir. How's life in Des Moines today?
Life's good. Life's good. You got me? Am I sounding all right?
You sound good. Look magnificent. We're blessed to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, no, everything's good this morning. It is a Friday morning. So I have a almost 2-year-old daughter. Her birthday's tomorrow. So she is all sorts of fired up this morning. And, it's just it's a sprint as soon as you wake up to get out the door. So I'm coming in a little disheveled, but hopefully that won't translate here.
Well, as somebody who has been through the wars. Now I have teenagers, so the wars change for you as time goes on. Enjoy these times as best you can, even on the limited sleep. All right, it is a magical run, to say the least, for the Drake Bulldogs this year that started in November. I don't know anybody could have imagined what we would have gotten over those 4 months, but as I told you yesterday, we'll turn this into a Tarantino film. We'll start at the end and then go back to the beginning. A coaching change, Ben McCollum, of course, going on after 1 season to Iowa, and now the Bulldogs, AD Brian Harden has hired Eric Henderson out of South Dakota State as the new head coach. He'll be officially announced on Monday. What is the general vibe right now around Des Moines, as we have yet another head coach, 3rd time in 3 years here for a very successful Bulldog program?
Yeah, the NCAA tournament seems so long ago, but it was such a big moment in not only in the last few months, but in the 7 years that I've been here. So it's crazy that, that was less than 2 weeks ago. We were down in Wichita celebrating. 2 weeks ago from today,
right.
we were in Wichita celebrating this, incredible win, first NCAA tournament win, in the first round, advancing, to the field of 32 since the early 70s. Such a monumental moment for this program, but Drake fans, they were, we were in the, team hotel. You could feel the buzz as soon as you woke up and stepped out of your hotel room, because there were so many Bulldog fans there. So, wow, it was, it's been a wild ride, to say the least. Not to use a lame pun, But man, it has been a wild ride the last couple weeks. It's been fun. There've been some ups and downs along the way, but I would say vibes as we check in here on a Friday. The announcement of Eric Henderson was a week ago today, and his official introductory press conference will be Monday. I think 11 a.m. is the official time. We'll stream that on the Drake Athletics YouTube and Facebook pages, so be on the lookout for that. But I think we're excited about when it comes to the staff, when it comes to Drake fans, we're excited about Drake's future because the support from Drake fans is at an all-time high in the last 7 years. And you mix that with a little bit of chip on their shoulder now. They want to keep this thing going. And so you kind of mix all that stuff together. It's kind of now head down. Let's do whatever we can to help, Hendo and his crew build a roster that can compete for a championship in the Valley. I think that's the expectation that has been established here. And so let's do whatever we can here in the next few months to get the roster going, and then we can start building towards the season, this summer. So right now, everything's good. It's still trying to wrap your mind around everything that has, happened here in the last couple of weeks. But, I think our attention now has turned towards, Eric Henderson, the energy that he's brought into the building already in 1 week, and, doing whatever we can to help him out.
Having been around this Murray State program for a couple of decades and having so many coaches go on to bigger and more lucrative places for them, there is, you feel it coming. Like you just, especially when you get on these runs of, you're getting to the NCAA tournament, you're winning games and you're just like, yeah, you start looking. It's like every job that opens around the country, you're just like, nope, that's not one he would go to. Yeah, that one could be. When was sort of the first time in your gut when you thought, oh boy, maybe this could be a one and done for Ben McCollum?
So for me personally, I was trying to enjoy the ride as long as possible, and then also you listen to Coach and what he says, and as a teammate of his, essentially, as someone that is around him daily, I gotta believe him. I gotta listen to what he says and believe him. And so, kind of mix those two things. I would say the first time that I was like, that might be it, was Saturday night in Wichita after the game against Texas Tech, after the loss there. I mean, you could sense it from the players. You could sense it from, some of the comments made in the post game. You had obviously heard stuff all week long about, Iowa, and we're here in Iowa. Iowa is the state's biggest brand when it comes to, college sports. So, the Des Moines Register is, sending out messages, essentially saying, "Go Missouri." That was one of the published things that week. It's the Des Moines Register tweeting that or texting that out to subscribers about their hometown team. So yeah, that stuff's really hard to not hear. But I would say essentially, yeah, Saturday night was the first time, as the season is now done, you let your guard down a little bit, and then you start to feel some of the stuff happening. I would say that was like the first time, but we weren't ignorant to, the stuff happening, around the program really for, 4 months.
So day one, and we just go back to
day one of what?
We'll go back to day one of, I guess, November from a standpoint of Darren DeVries leaves and Tucker DeVries leaves. And boy, you had this great run. You got to the tournament a couple years, and it's like, all right, here comes this guy that everything we knew about him for a guy that we didn't know anything about was this dude can coach, and he is a national championship winning coach. There's no question about the X's and O's and all that, but you just, okay, what's the transition going to be like from Division II to Division I? Brings a bunch of guys with him. And as we've talked about throughout the year, I thought early, wrongly, wildly wrongly, that I thought there was a little bit of fool's gold of, continuity is king, especially in November. He's got these guys that he's familiar with and got some good players. And man, folks are going to catch up to this eventually. And they ultimately never did, which just speaks volumes to Coach McCollum and everybody that, in the program. But what was the first time hey, we're rolling out the ball and we're going, that you thought, boy, this is not what I expected? Good, bad, or indifferent. Just that and wherever your bar was, that this, what you were watching was just wildly different than you expected.
No, and some of the things you were just saying there are completely fair. I mean, that's the beauty of a new season and watching how it all plays out. You do wonder, all right, can these Division II guys, can they play at this level? Oh, okay. Well, it's the continuity thing. When is that going to run out? They're only playing five guys essentially. When's that going to, come to a head? Okay. So they've extended their bench a little bit. Can they win 3 games in 3 days? I mean, those are all fair questions and questions that, make for good fodder. And this is why this podcast that you got going here is going to be successful, is because these are fun conversations to be had in a fun league like the Missouri Valley Conference. So we had all those same questions. Watching them practice last summer, it looked a lot like what I had seen in previous years. Things were being done differently, but the players and the skill set and how they were connected and moving, and the words from leaders, from the head coach, were sounding awfully similar to what I had seen and heard from the past. And so, getting the opportunity to be, inside those practices and inside the locker room and have that type of access, I thought that they could compete for a championship right away, both in the regular season and in the postseason. And then you watch them come out and play. I think the thing that jumped out early November for me was these are guys with good, Coach McCollum kept talking about positional size. We don't have a 6'10" guy like Darnell Brody, but you're 6'8" and then 6'6" to 6'4" across the board. So, I mean, you have pretty good positional size, which can play in the Missouri Valley Conference. And so you saw that, but then the way that they rebounded the basketball, and the players just jumped higher than their size. And so you feel like, okay, yeah, this is a team that plays much bigger. It's hard to see on TV, but when you're on the floor level, they're a team that played much bigger than they looked walking out of the locker room. But then, yeah, Charleston was the moment. Miami was playing good basketball when we played them. They did not have a very good season, but at that moment they were 3-0, had played some, low major teams or low major teams, but at the same time, still had played well in those games. So, you beat Miami by double digits, then you beat FAU, which had 2 7-footers on the floor at the same time. And so you're like, okay, they've got this size, and yet we're dominating the boards. We're winning this game by double digits. And then you get Vanderbilt, who was a team that's very unknown back then, and they do it again. Beat a team by double digits and out rebound them by nearly double digits. So, it's kind of that trip down there. You're also seeing the behind the scenes and the cohesiveness of this team. You're like, all right, I don't know. I did not foresee, the round of 32 and, winning the league by a couple games and, winning 2 of the 3 games in St. Louis by double digits. But you felt like there was something really special happening way back in November. And then that's why what I started this conversation with was like, I'm going to just enjoy every moment of this because this is wild. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to see something like this, magic in a bottle, where, you don't know how long it lasts. If there's an injury in January to Bennett Certs, everything changes. So you want to try to soak up every moment you can all along the way. And so I guess I would go back to November. I know that was long-winded, but it was it was fun to watch it all kind of progress.
Bennett Sturtz, it is rare that there is a wire to wire player of the year situation. Last year Tucker DeVries was, outstanding, but we had Robbie Avila, you had Xavier Johnson at SIU, that, guys that they were, Tucker in a lot of ways was probably ahead the whole time, but there was folks within arm's reach. I just never felt like there was anybody. I mean, by the time we got to Thanksgiving, this thing was just licked in an envelope and mailed off, that it was done. It was just, can he stay healthy to finish the job? Because he was outstanding. And I just, from a standpoint of, he never came off the floor. He just did everything. Was just looks like he's there's almost a there's a casualness about the way he sort of carries himself, and maybe that's part of the way he's able to play 39.9 minutes a game, where it's like he doesn't expend extra energy with any sort of histrionics of any kind. It's just, you're like, how are we not beating that guy? And not only how is he beating us, how is he just dicing us? What was the thing that impressed you the most about him, getting to watch him play for 35 games?
Ooh, the most, I do think it's just pure minutes and how he was able to conserve energy and then burst and punch you in the face right when he needed to. I mean, he had some gigantic shots throughout the season. Think of the K-State shot, the buzzer beater in Kansas City in his hometown, a shot against Bradley late that put the game on ice, the Kevin Harlan dagger, and then at Northern Iowa in overtime. It's a one possession game, crossover, step back, 3 on the road in a tough, hostile environment, and ends the game essentially there. So yeah, his ability to conserve energy and then still lead the league in steals. So he's, it's not like he's slacking on the defensive end.
Right.
I mean, there are moments where he tries to find a second to take a breath, but really it's he was playing 40 minutes and a full 90 feet. So that was really impressive. My favorite stat, I use this a lot during the NCAA tournament. In Valley play, he averaged 40.5 minutes per game.
Right.
Only 40 minutes in a game, but we played a handful of overtime games.
Played overtime, he'd go full 45 for you.
Yeah. So it was just like so wild that he was able to do that. And one thing that referenced a little bit on the broadcast this year, and I talked with Adam Emenecker about, is Lionel Messi, one of the world's greatest soccer players of all time. He in a 90-minute match, where the heart monitors and tracking devices, he will, outside of the goalkeepers, he will move the least out of everybody, but he is somebody that you have to keep an eye on, because he will conserve that energy. You'll watch him, he's just walking around most of the time, but then when the ball's passed to him, it's boom, 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 and you're down 1-0. Right. And so that was a similar thing with Bennett Sturtz. He would, kind of bring the ball up and pop the ball here and run some action. And then all of a sudden it would be boom, 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 2 seconds on the shot clock, layup, or step back 3. And you're like, what just happened to us? So he's a ton of fun to watch. And I'm excited to see how he does in the Big Ten. Cause
why not, man?
I don't think there's any question that he can be in the conversation for, a Big Ten player of the year type conversation.
So as the year went on, the Bulldogs were sort of one of the poster children for how is this team not an at-large possibility. And when we got to, you listen to certain people, Rocco Miller, one of the bracketologists nationwide there, he was very adamant. He's like, look, if they can get Sunday, this is a wrap. Like, it's no question. They're in no matter what. But there was a lot of people that were like, I don't really know. And then when, thankfully for you guys that you did not have to sweat a week and wait for Selection Sunday, but it's like, man, when it got to to cut in time there on Sunday, and you come up as an 11 seed. I was like, if you throw out your two non-D1s, if you'd lost to Bradley in the championship, you're sitting there at 27-4. And I was like, an 11 seed does not scream at large. And it would have just been criminal that ultimately you guys had 5 bad days in January where you lost games by 7 and 3, I think, and it's like, and that was the worst thing you did all year. And that would have somehow kept you out. How much stress was involved in St. Louis around that program of, we don't have a safety net here. We know we want to win. We want to cut the nets on all, but just for the grander picture of, was there an anxiety of, we better win or else?
Yeah, I think there's always anxiety as a mid-major. I mean, I talked a lot to Brian Harden, our director of athletics, the week leading up and that weekend, because I think it's fun. Brian is kind of a bracketology nerd. He serves on the FCS playoff committee. So he's a part of building a bracket, and, he's in charge of a couple FCS conferences, and, we'll kind of serve in similar capacities to, what you would see in the NCAA tournament committee. And, hearing from him and some of the conversations he had, before the season and even throughout the year with the NCAA committee members, we felt like we were in a really good position as long as you get off of Friday. At worst, you're a first 4 game in Dayton. And then, from there, it's all about seed. And Brian felt and was pushing for us to be, a 7 seed. If you win the championship, like, we should be a 7 seed. But, obviously that did not happen. And so when you pop up as an 11 seed, you are a little bit like, whoa, we might have dodged something. But while we were in St. Louis, there was a little bit of anxiety, but we felt really good about where we were heading into the weekend. Probably similar to West Virginia, you feel really good about where you are. Everybody's saying you're in. Every bracketologist says you're in.
You feel good.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it's the harsh reality of a mid-major right now. Man, I don't know. There's just got to be the system, and we can. I don't know if we're gonna how much time we're gonna spend in this. It's an absolute joke because
I agree.
Right now, power conferences, they stand on a platform and say, these teams just aren't good enough. Look at all these metrics. They're just not good enough. They're not good enough. They're not good enough. And then they also won't play those games. And, there's, some of these, like the Charleston Classic that we played in last year, there was talk about that. And I don't know if it's going to come to fruition. I think it might, about breaking that up into a high major and mid-major bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have, the high majors are just refusing to play good mid-majors. And so they say you're not good enough. Then you have the scheduling issue where they won't schedule you.
Right.
But then immediately they'll pay millions of dollars. As soon as the season's done, they'll pay millions of dollars to woo your players away from you and pay multi-millions to take your coach away.
Right.
You can't have it both. And I guess you can when money talks. And so that's just, it is I think, ultimately a lot of the conversation that you'll probably have on this podcast over the next 6 months leading up to the season is, where are mid majors in this? Where do we stand? There's got to be a way to, make the regular season mean something, or else the mid majors are going to continue to get squeezed out, because right now the high majors have all of the control, and that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, we all grew up in the land of 64 teams, and everybody got all antsy when it went to 65, and now it's at 68. And I understand the the traditional nature of it. It can't get any bigger, but at the same time, it's like, look, there used to be 250 Division One teams. Now we have 360 Division One teams. It's like I just feel like expanding to 76 or whatever, the 74, 76, whatever magic number they fall on. Look, that's 8 more spots. And yep, there's going to be some more, the SEC may get all 16 instead of 14, but it just opens the door for, even if there's 3 extra spots for, a Drake that goes 30-4 and doesn't win their tournament, that there's still a spot for them. And these traditional multi-bid leagues to just be like, man, we just need 2. We're not asking for 5 and 6. And, even the glory days of this league 15 years ago of, hey, let's get 4 in. That'd be awesome. And I'm sure Commissioner Jackson would do, backflips wearing a tutu if he could get 4 teams in this league, into this tournament. But there's just no reason, when you have somebody with a resume that Drake had this year, that you're like, no, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. And then, you let him in, and they beat one of your almighty SEC teams. It's like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You keep them out because we're afraid of them in the end, and because we know they can beat us, and they did. So we can spend a week, and we will throughout the summer. I was super. I don't know if impressed is the right word, but I certainly respected sort of the transparency that Brian Harden had at the end of this process. And it sounds like I have every reason to respect, even behind the closed doors, the way Ben McCollum handled his business in the final 2 weeks or so from St. Louis up until, he was ultimately hired by Iowa. Just from your seat, just the way that timeline worked out and how it worked for really everybody. That, look, there's always going to be some sort of dinged feelings, but at the same time, the separation seemed to go as amicably as possible.
Yeah, I think as good as it possibly could have, I guess. The one thing from, Drake's end, I guess, is that it's just 90 minutes down the road. So, we're in the news cycle where it's, Coach Mack wearing the gold tie now, and Iowa fans kind of tapping and dancing around the fact that they were able to pay to pull the coach away, and now likely the entire roster. So yeah, some of that stuff is just like a little bit, you got to take it on the chin, I guess. But one of the things I loved about hearing from Brian in the postseason press conference was we can't sit here and pity Drake. We don't have the time to. It was kind of, all right, Sunday, this is what happens. I wish we would have had more time to celebrate. Yeah, there were a couple other things I wish might have happened. They didn't. And so it's, Coach Mack's got a new job. He's on to Iowa. That's where his focus is. And we have to, honor the fact that he earned that, and all these players earned that. And so we got to let that happen. It's tough to see, obviously, when it's, in state and, a ton of other things under the surface and under the surface. But at the same time, we got to honor that they earned that right. And the players all earn that. So on the flip side, they've moved on to Iowa, and now we've got this great coach and Eric Henderson in here. So we also are turning our attention to, all right, we've got a thing to do here now still. And so, it's just weird. It's all really weird how it all kind of plays out, but I don't know. I think it went as smoothly as you could possibly go. It's all disappointing and it's a bummer and all that stuff. But at the same time, there's a new energy in the building with Eric Henderson here. And he's, a guy that's already, working hand in stride for stride with, the staff and with Brian Harden. And that's exciting for us here as well. And now it's just, yeah, kind of all about building a roster and getting ready for next season.
My last question for you, just in terms of the fan base and the temperature of it is, again, we've been through this at Murray State for decades, where guys are here, man, they win and they go on to bigger places to see former coaches. And we're not talking, 40 years ago, we're talking, Nico Medved going to Minnesota, and now Darren DeVries at Indiana, and now Ben McCollum at Iowa. Is there a sense of, and there's probably a fine line here, is there a sense of pride from the fan base that, man, we're winning and we're churning out, thank you guys for doing your thing? Or is it more of a sense of annoyance of, man, we got to go get another coach again here for the third time in 3 years?
Oh, I mean, yeah, probably initially there's like a little annoyance that, all right, gosh, we just, for NIL, fans are paying money. They're buying a Tucker DeVries jersey, and then all right, then you got to buy a Bennett Search. All right, now it's that's how this thing works right now. If we go into the broken system, I mean, this is tough on mid majors. It's not sustainable, and so I would say, yeah, it's frustrating for fans to continue to invest and pour into these players and these coaches. And then all of a sudden, it's like, all right, sweet. You're out of here. All right. Well, that was fun. How do we do it again? So yeah, there's a little bit of annoyance and frustration immediately. But I think with, Darren specifically, he was here for 6 years, kind of took us, he started this, 20 win season streak, took us to an NCAA tournament for the first time since 2008, won a game there for the first time in 50 years, did a lot here to set up the future success. And then, Nico was one and done. He was prior to Brian did not hire him. But Brian was here when Nico left. So there was never really able to build that relationship. And then with Coach Mack, it's really tough to swallow because, it's 90 minutes down the road. So I don't know how gung ho most of Drake Nation is right now about all that. But I think, it just, you were talking about what Murray State, has kind of gone through some of that stuff. Murray is still able to hang Isaiah Cannon's jersey from the rafters. He's still able to hang Ja Morant's jersey from the rafters. This pre-transfer portal era. For us, the thing that is kind of a bummer is, gosh, fans loved Tucker DeVries, and they're still pulling for him. But right. He's worn 2 different jerseys since he left here, and so as much as you love these young men, they're not Bulldogs anymore. And then same thing with Bennett Sturts, you pour in a lot, buying the jerseys, all that stuff. You love these young men. And again, these are, 21, 22-year-old guys. So I don't fault them for what they're doing. It's just part of the system and how it goes. But, I'm just speaking on behalf of the fans, that stuff sucks. I mean, there's no way around it. So yes, the year, it's yes. And yes, the year was amazing. It was so much fun. There were a lot of teams in the Missouri Valley Conference that would be like, all right, I would take a one and done and a win in the NCAA tournament, all that stuff. And the Friday in Wichita was one of the best moments of my career, just because of how rewarding all of the work it paid off right then. Right. And the fans were having so much fun, and we had a blast. That week was so much fun. Being down there with Dolph Polium and Josh Young and DJ Wilkins and these great basketball players that spanned 50 years of Bulldog basketball. So I would not trade that for anything. But at the same time, all right, it's done. And now you pick your, bootstraps back up and get back to work. And yeah, I'll say we're fired up about Hendo being in here. He's already had some recruits on campus, had, I think, 3 in the other day. So yeah, it's, he's a high energy guy. You're hearing from his staff. He's like, we're going to bring Iowa guys in here, and we're gonna build this with Iowa guys, and that's exciting. They did that at South Dakota State. They pulled a ton of Iowa guys up to Brookings and won championships up there. So I think there's a lot of reason to be excited. Yeah, you spend a couple weeks or a couple days, whatever it is, licking your wounds and, being sad to see Bennett Certs in black and gold and Iowa fans wearing gold ties. That's tough when you're in state. But at the same time, having Hendo in here and the energy that he's going to bring to this program, there is also a lot of optimism for the future.
Well, that future officially begins with his introduction on Monday morning.
Yep.
As Coach Henderson will officially be Drake's head coach. Michael Admire, the voice of the Drake Bulldogs. Thank you so much for your time today, and I know we'll talk plenty this summer as we gear up for the 25-26 season.
Sweet, let's do it, Jeff. This is such a cool concept. Whatever I can do to help, pump it out there to everybody. This is really neat. I think Valley fans, they want to keep talking Valley basketball throughout the year and Valley sports. So you got it going on. I appreciate you doing this.
All right, my man. We'll talk soon. Thank you. All right, there's Michael Admire, the voice of the Missouri Valley Conference champion Drake Bulldogs. Time now to welcome in the voice of the Murray State women's basketball program, the Missouri Valley Conference champion Murray State Racer women's basketball program. And his name is Jeremy Rose. Colonel Rose, how are you doing this fine Friday morning?
I was doing great until I saw that both you guys are showing off some kind of crazy in-house studio, and here I am trying to enjoy the rain out on the back porch.
Hey, a little brick wall never hurt anybody.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right. Let's just like we did with Michael, we'll start at the end and go back to the beginning. Just man, an 8-year journey for Rochelle Turner and her staff between two conferences, and to be able to finally kick in the door and get to the NCAA tournament. What was your experience like just for getting to there was a lot of long bus rides to Charleston, Illinois and Cookeville, Tennessee, and a lot of points in between, and then to be able to get on that charter jet and head on over to Norman, Oklahoma to play on the game's biggest stage. What was it like for you, and just your feelings and your take on sort of the way that the kids and the coaches all appreciated that moment?
I think it was a dream come true for everybody. We started out, I think every one of us, and there's only 3 of us that are left from that opening game, and that's Coach Turner and Monica and myself. But I think that all of us were just so appreciative of the way the fans came out and supported this team, and the way that this team really seemed to have it going from day one. And it still was kind of one of those situations where it was hard to think, golly, we could win this thing. And at the beginning of the year, because you were just thinking, oh, well, the Drakes of the world and the Northern Iowas of the world and the Belmonts, they're all still going to be up there. And for us to be able to overcome all of that was so incredible. And it just felt like that. I think you said it at one point, a coronation, and I felt like that was a really, really good term to use, because it felt like that it was time, and the robe being put on Coach and the crown being put on there as well, something that she's deserved for so long, and I think everybody understands what kind of coach that she is and what kind of coaching staff that she carries.
Rochelle Turner will always be the first, and she's not the only coach in the country that says it, but she's like, look, we can all coach ball. It certainly helps to have some great players. And this season we were, thanks, if there's, the very short list of good things that came out of COVID is that there were some players we got to just watch for a 5th year. And for Caitlin Young, for someone that was a just a generational talent for this program. If she had never played a fifth year, really, it was just we were throwing logs on the fire of, hey, we got to 3,000 points, and she was already the program's all-time leading scorer. But she came back because she wanted to win a championship, and not only did she win one, she won two. And this picture that David Eaton took with Murray State Athletics is just one of my all-time favorite pictures, to see her just cradling that Missouri Valley Conference championship trophy. From seeing everyone, I think the number was like 155, somewhere around those, for the amount of games she played in her career. Where was the progression for her from day one? I mean, she was an all Ohio Valley Conference first team player year one, and was the player of the year in year two. But where did you see the biggest growth from her from day one to sitting there holding that trophy in Evansville?
It's a good question, because she was great from day one, in so many ways. But to me, that this past year, she did more.
We're losing him. Oh, we've lost him. Jeremy will be back in a moment. Sometimes that Marshall County internet out by the brick wall can sometimes get a little sideways for you. Let's see.
Are
There
we
he
back?
is. We're back. We're back.
I can't hear you now. I'm sorry, but someone called in. You know how that works.
Right.
So I'm not really sure what we need to do at this point, because I can't hear you. But I can answer this question, and maybe I'll hop off. You do your beautiful talking, and I'll get right back on. But I really believe that, to answer your question about Kate, this past year, her grad year, to me was so very different in the way that she led this team, the way that she was vocal, the way that she really, in that second half of the season, I think Coach Turner, you go ahead and lead this team, every which way. The ball's coming into you. And so be ready, and let's really work this thing around you. You try to score, you get your points, and because that's going to help everybody. And there was never a point where that it was, get Kate her points, before her record. No, but that's how important that her points were, and something that we definitely have to now replace here in the meantime. And so, I felt like that she was playing her best basketball this past year. She had really worked on that mid-range jumper, and then that three ball. She was just unstoppable. She could score at any level, and the weight on her shoulders, it may have been there, but I just didn't see it, because to me it was more like she had such aggression that she was going to go out there and make sure that this got done, that we got to the tournament. And to see it end the way it did was, that hurt. It hurt everybody to watch her go through that. But mission accomplished, first and foremost. And hey, you're back. I can hear you now. So maybe we're good to go. I was trying to spin that out as long as I could for you to say something to see if we were still working. Again, we're back. I need a studio, Jeff. I need a studio.
I know. For somebody that works in the world of radio, we thought we would be able to dust that off, but we'll take the brick wall. We'll one baby steps today. I'm just glad you're wearing
technology. I didn't know the technology you had going here on mornings in Valley.
So as we spin forward now to 25-26, and you lose an all-time, I can't even say an all-time great, the all-time great in Caitlin Young. You lose Ava Learn, who came in and had just an impossibly huge impact on this program for her 2 years after transferring in from Purdue. 300 some odd rebounds this year, one of the great rebounding seasons. And to discount her, the fact that she became a as we joked, a 4% career 3-point shooter to making 38% this season. Outstanding. And then you lose Trinity White, who was a really just a do everything Swiss Army knife that wasn't really required to score, but could certainly. And now Jenna Walker, the fourth senior who had to medically retire before the year, and you're looking to next year, and it's like, okay, there are signs, there are hints that these racers are going to be really good again next year. They're going to be different, most certainly. And I think a lot of, there is a graduation in the league as a whole, that all of these great players, these great guards are moving on. And we find out yesterday that, Shannon Dowell, second team all-league player, averaged 17 points a game, led Illinois State. She's into the portal now. So there's only 3 all-league kids that are coming back. You have Jalen Banks at Belmont, and then you have Haven Ford from Murray State and Hallie Polk from Murray State. The fact that you have 6 of your top 9 in your rotation coming back, and now some of those are coming back off of ACL injuries, and so that there's going to be some progression, but there's reason to be optimistic here, right? I mean, that with the backcourt depth of a Ford and a Polk, and you've got these more freshmen coming in, that Rochelle Turner and her staff are going into the portal to get some size to bolster that interior right away. It's going to be different, but I don't know that there's necessarily going to be this massive drop off. And this is also April the 4th, and we can be the glass is always half full on April 4th.
Yeah, I mean, the roster that is coming back that we know of is a very talented roster. No, those 3, the 3 that were able to play this year, and the coach on the sideline and in Jenna Walker, no, they're not going to be coming back through with this team. But they built that foundation, and I think that they play off of each other so well. Each one of those seniors, that they were able to guide some of these younger players along. Destiny is seeing it from a different perspective right now, and she was already a leader. And then, of course, you've got Haven and Hallie, who have so much experience, and Briley, who really, really had a maturing year and was so good down the stretch. I think when you look at those particular players coming back, and you've got others that are on this roster that I think can play for sure. Plus, this is when that coaching staff and their recruiting, that's when this really comes into play to see who those next great players are going to be. And the portal helps to be able to get to those spots maybe that you didn't recruit for necessarily. And then we just, those recruits, unknowns in some ways, but in the other part of it, I think that they're valued commodities. And you're looking at a different kind of recruit now, I think, than what we have looked for in the past. And I think that winning the Valley makes a big difference in that. And I think that you're going to see that we'll continue to be in conversations with young ladies that we may not have been able to be in that beforehand.
Do you think the system that Rochelle Turner runs, that we're getting out, we're running, we're shooting threes, we're pressing, it almost feels like sacrilege to, and I'll try to phrase it carefully, not that they will be better without Caitlin Young and Ava Lerner, but just Kate was such this center of gravity that it was almost kind of retrofitting the system a little bit. But if this becomes more a guard and wing oriented offense that just really can fly and shoot and so on, and again, I don't know that it'll be better, but it'll be different. But it feels in a way that the system can kind of maybe go to a different place potentially when it's really clicking, which is crazy to say for a team that was the number 1 scoring offense in the country already this year.
I understand what you're saying, and I don't know that it will be better without Kate or Ava in it as far as what it produces. I think it'll be faster because you're going to be looking at, realistically, you're not going to be dumping it into the post and then kicking it back out. Would be my assumption with the roster that we see right now. And I think it takes a Kate and an Ava to that type of player to change that. But I think it will be faster. We may score more points as a result of it. I think it will really go into NASCAR mode. And I love NASCAR.
I know
and I
you
think
do.
we'll be super speedway mode instead of the Martinsville short track mode. I think that that would be a way to look at it. But the excitement level of it, I think is what draws you to this next season team, because we may have to win a different way, but we know how to win that way. That's really what these guards that we have currently, that's what they know to do. And they're so good at it. So I'm excited about it as much as I was excited about this team and what they were able to do because of who they had. This new team, who could be some unknowns that really pop into the forefront by the time that we're talking about this next year. I'm so excited about what it's going to be, and it's a long off season, but I'm ready to go again.
Well, my last question for you, just in terms of the knowns and the folks that we are very familiar with coming back next season, who would you predict is maybe a strong word, anticipate, hopeful that there will be another gear, another level, another wow. I thought maybe we were starting to tap on the ceiling a little bit, and you think maybe there's a little more to bust through and really see like again, an Ava Learn that was the great example of just hard work in the off season to go from 1 for 21 in her career from 3 to making 38% this season. Who'd sort of be somebody you're going to keep an eye on as we get towards November?
Brax would be one.
Yeah, Braxton Baker.
If she's true to who we think that she is, what she showed at different times this year, I think she could score. She can score at an unbelievable clip. I think just being more adjusted to the college game and maybe the length of the season too. I think those are parts of that sometimes we forget with freshmen, that they're not used to, and especially used to a system like what we play, that those legs get tired, and that they do. And of course, that's such a big part of shooting the basketball. But I think Brax is one of them. I think, and even though we've not seen her yet, Cam Hoover is going to be a household name real quick. I do believe that once she gets here and is able to get back out on the floor. I think Haven and Hallie both have have more that is in their tank. And honestly, Destiny, we've not seen the full Destiny yet because she was a freshman. And then this year she comes in like gangbusters and then gets hurt. So I'm not going to put any pressure on her in November and December to be just knowing what she's coming off of. But I think by late January, she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And it may not be all points. I mean, she may be that player that just absolutely is your Rodman kind of player, Lambeer kind of player to an extent, that just gets it done however they have to.
Hopefully not instigating fights in the honor of the bad boys, but
if she does, she does. I mean, I'll be right there beside her. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I know you will. Jeremy Rose, the voice of the Murray State women's basketball program. Say what you want about the brick wall. I appreciate the birds chirping in the background like it's the 16th at Augusta. I mean, the ambiance you brought this morning was just spectacular.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I know everybody's going through terrible weather right now here in Western Kentucky, Southern Illinois. And, I wanted to make it feel peaceful, make it feel like that this is just one of those beautiful spring afternoons or mornings, wherever the time may be where you are. And And again, I didn't have a fake microphone that I could set in front of me today.
It actually works. It works. This one, trust me, I've used them before where they're just props. This one actually works. So I appreciate you keeping me holding my feet to the fire. Jeremy Rose, stay dry today, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for the time.
I'm going to try to. If you need me to be your Ed McMahon, I'll be glad to anytime. We can do this again.
You have yucked it up at plenty of my bad jokes over the years, so I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, go Racers.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. There's Jeremy Rose, the voice of Murray State women's basketball. All right. Well, we will get to some belated headlines of the morning here as our guests were prompt today. I wasn't fully sure that was going to happen. So always glad when folks show up on time. So the big news for me yesterday was a small piece of a grander puzzle as Brandon Lieb, Illinois State 7-footer, has announced his return to Illinois State. The average 3 points a game last year, but you can't teach 7 feet, and he is back. But the grander puzzle here is that Illinois State, in an era of one and dones and guys hopping from one school to the next and so on, Ryan Pedon now going into year number 4 in Normal. They are the Redbirds, but the most important R word right now in Normal, Illinois is retention. And he is retaining everybody. And it is something that is just, it's so out of character for the sport right now that it is refreshing in this odd way to see so many folks coming back. You have seen Chase Walker, first team All-Missouri Valley Conference, say, I'm back. Earlier this week, Johnny Kinzinger, second team All-Missouri Valley Conference, saying, I'm back. Ty Pence has announced he's back. Jack Doherty, all freshman team, announced he's back. Lieb now says he's back. Landon Wolf, who the transfer from Northern Iowa, hasn't made any public proclamations about whether he's back or not, which is, again, also a funny part about college basketball now is that we almost default to believing guys are leaving. So until they say, I'm back, you're not sure. So we haven't heard from Wolf, but if Wolf says yay, ultimately, Illinois State will have 5 of their top 7 scorers from a year ago coming back. The only 2 they lost were Dalton Banks and Malachi Poindexter, and they both graduated. So to lose nobody out of your top group like that to the portal and so on is unbelievable. Johnny Kinzinger was a guy that was, look, Illinois State season ran until I believe it was late last week. They finished 22-14. They went 10-10 in the Valley, finished 5th, won a game, beat Missouri State in the opening round of Arch Madness. They lose to Belmont in the quarterfinals. They go to the CBI, get a week trip to Florida, and go win the thing. And I'm always a big proponent of these postseason tournaments. Hey, if you can't get in the NCAA tournament, which everybody wants to do, at least go to something. You know, the old days of the CIT, or, we had the CBI, the NIT, and go win the thing. Because I just am a firm believer that there is something to be gained from that. And there is a springboard into the offseason, especially in this case when you are able to retain your guys. And Ryan Pedon has done that. Johnny Kinzinger, there was some reports, and I don't even want to say there were reports, more rumors that he was going into the portal. And so when you look at his decision to come back, it was just like a wow, just a seismic, just boom, of a sonic boom of I'm here, and Illinois State is for real. Randy Reinhart, who covers Illinois State for the Pantograph in Bloomington, Illinois, the other night when Illinois State's women were playing in the WNIT, got a chance to catch up with Kinzinger after he had made his decision. And this is the video that Randy Reinhart posted of his interview with one Johnny Kinzinger. Oh, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning and try that again.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of emotions going on right now, but, Coach says it every day. He says you win with people, and, you know, this place just has the best people, from our staff to our fans to the players. I just couldn't imagine myself playing with other guys, playing for other guys. So, you know, this is my home. This is my home, and, you know, I'm happy to be back.
Johnny, for you, seeing all your guys, Ty come back, Chase come back, Jack come back, how much did that kind of motivate your decision to want to come back for ISU?
Oh, for sure. You know, these are my brothers, man. Like, Chase and Ty, I've been with them since day one. And just, you know, knowing that we had a good year this year, but we know our expectations for next year are much higher. So let's go win this thing.
Let's go win this thing. And look, 5 of your top 7, if Landon Wolf doesn't come back, still 4 of your top 6, but most importantly, your 2 all-league guys coming back. I don't see a world. And again, we're 6 months away. Barring somebody just going bananas in the portal and they're like really being some heavy hitters in the portal, not just potential guys, but guys that have done stuff that's going to sway people's mind. I just don't see a world where Illinois State is not the preseason pick to win the Valley. I am a firm believer that continuity is king. We saw that this year with Drake, where, you know, Ben McCullum brought his foursome from Northwest Missouri State. That was huge. Bradley being the second best team in the league, picked to win it in the preseason because they had all those guys back from in the past. So I just believe continuity is huge, and they're going to be something to reckon with, most certainly in the Missouri Valley. And again, Brandon Lieb, not one of those top 7 scorers, but is a guy that is 7 foot tall and can be a bit of a game wrecker in that way and a rim protector, and is a huge piece for Coach Peden for next season. Murray State has been very active in the transfer portal so far. They have now signed 4 players, 3 of them just yesterday. Mason Miller, who was the transfer from Creighton, he signed earlier this week. And then yesterday, 3 players, Fred King, who was a 6'9", 250-pound wagon of a man from Creighton as well. KJ Tenner, point guard from West Virginia, originally out of Memphis. And then Ben Stolzberg, who was a freshman year at Creighton, spent the last 2 years at UC Santa Barbara. All 4 of those guys have now signed with new head coach Ryan Miller. These 4 are really relationship signings. Miller, again, has spent the last 4 years at Creighton. Mason Miller is his nephew. He coached Fred King for 3 years, who played behind Ryan Kalkbrenner for 3 years, the All-American, 4-time defensive player, Big East defensive player of the year. So obviously there's some, the numbers are muted a little bit for King, but Miller has coached him for 3 years and is super high to be able to bring him in. Ben Stolzberg, again, spent 1 year at Creighton with Miller. And then you have KJ Tenner, who is from Memphis. The Miller family, extremely tied into the Memphis basketball community. So that was, those are 4 real relationship signings. Still 11 to go. And now the real work really begins for Ryan Miller in terms of having to go recruit new guys and bringing them into Murray State. Valparaiso continues to be hammered in the portal, as I feel like every school, as expected in a lot of ways. Roger Powell, all right, who had the Missouri Valley Conference Freshman of the Year, who had already said that he was into the portal yesterday, announced he is going to Xavier, averaged 15.5 points per game this year. Really, really good player, but once we got to Arch Madness in St. Louis, he showed sort of his ceiling for everything. Scored 22 points in the opening round against UIC, scored 29 in the quarterfinal upset against Northern Iowa, and then 24 against Bradley in the semifinals. And oh, by the way, took 28 three-point shots and made 15 of them. So on the big stage, he made himself look very attractive to potential suitors. And that is now, he is on his way to Xavier. Isaiah Shaw put himself into the transfer portal yesterday as well. 5 points a game for the Beacons, was 5th on the team in scoring. And so now what Roger Powell has coming back is he's got 3 guys left, either through graduation. Cooper Schwieger's gone off to Wake Forest. That you have 3 guys right now coming back. Jaden Watson was a redshirt freshman. Luth M. Coulibaly played in 8 games, averaged less than a point per game, and Justice McNair averaged about 4.5 points. So that's it. There's not much coming back, but as we have seen time and again, the cupboard can be bare, but it gets full in a hurry. And that is what Roger Powell, who has done a heck of a job 2 years in a row, getting the freshman of the year in the Missouri Valley Conference. We'll see if he can find another one out there coming up this season. Again, on Monday, Drake will introduce Eric Henderson as their new head coach, replacing Ben McCollum, who has gone on to Iowa. On the women's side, as we mentioned earlier, in the transfer portal yesterday, Shannon Dowell from Illinois State, 17.5 points a game, second team All-Missouri Valley Conference, leading scorer for the Redbirds. She's got 2 years left, helped Illinois State get to the Fab Four in the WNIT, but she's into the portal. So now, just like on the men's side, the men, you have 3 returning all-league players, Chase Walker, Johnny Kinzinger from Illinois State, and then you have Trey Campbell from Northern Iowa. There's just 3 remaining now on the women's side as well. Haven Ford and Hallie Polk for Murray State. Got to believe, especially coming off a championship season, the Racers going to be in that 1-2 slot somewhere to be the preseason pick to win the conference. Then Jalen Banks from Belmont. So sort of a golden era of guards in the Missouri Valley. Certainly in the guards in the 5, 6, and under categories, the Dinnebeers and the Stokes and the McDermotts, just so many outstanding guards this year. But there is a lot of turnover coming, and you're going to see a lot of new faces on the women's side next season as well. Back to Valpo. They've got 2 more players going into the portal, Nevaeh Jackson and Sanaya Jackson. Nevaeh was second on the team in scoring, 14 points a game behind Leah Ernest, who was a first-team All-Valley player who has graduated now. Sanaya missed the year. They are twins, Sanaya and Nevaeh. Sanaya missed the year with an injury. They are both moving on. Not surprising from a Valpo standpoint. Just looking at Mary Evans, dismissed 17 days ago as Valpo going in a change of direction with the head coaching position. 17 days, still no head coach. So the longer that takes, it's the longer, the window starts getting tighter with the portal, and kids are like, am I staying? Am I going? There's still no head coach. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to go. So that is the situation. The Final Four, obviously, this weekend. That's oftentimes when you see ADs, can interview a bunch of folks at one time with the coaching convention and so on. So expect there to be a move with Valpo coming sooner than later there. And then Katie Dinnebeer, the Drake all-time great player, named yesterday the Women's Basketball Coaches Association naming her honorable mention All-American. She was already an All-American, honorable mention for the Associated Press, the U.S. Basketball Writers Association. She is the 11th Drake player to earn All-American honors in her career. She was unbelievable this year, and certainly the final time I got to see her in person, she was out of her mind. As she scored 45 against the Racers in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament semifinals. She led the country this year. She had 12 games where she scored north of 30 points. She led America in assists, total assists, and assists per game. Since assists began being counted as official statistics back in 1985, Katie Dinnebeer, the first player ever since 1985 to average at least 22 points, 7 assists, and 2.5 steals per game. She was outstanding. And, as you see a lot on the women's side, it's about the student athlete. And she had an opportunity, certainly, to play professionally. She could have gone overseas. She would 100% got at least tryouts in the WNBA at the very worst. But she has decided that she's stepping away from basketball to go chase her pharmacy degree. And certainly wish Katie Dinnebeer the best there. So that does it for edition number 1 of Morning in the Valley. We sat here, we talked so long, we were just about getting to afternoon in the Valley. But thanks for being here with us today for Morning in the Valley. We will be back on Monday, again, 9 a.m. With the latest edition, have all the happenings from over the weekend around the Missouri Valley Conference, and special guest galore as well. So I appreciate you being here. Feel free, if you would be so kind. This will be on YouTube. It'll be on X. It'll be on Facebook. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff over on YouTube. If you're able to, you subscribe to it there. You get the little notification every time we go live, just in case you've gotten busy with your morning and forgot we're up and rolling. You'll be able to join us right then. So I appreciate you being with us today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. For you folks in sort of the West Kentucky, Southern Illinois area listening, stay dry. It's going to be a wet couple of days, but thanks for listening one more time. and watching today, Morning in the Valley.